Okay. And we have in here APA Muscat, Executive Director Aaron Salter, Innocence Maintained, Honorable Kim Worthy, Maria's Desk Phone, Kevin Harrington, Orlando Brand Williams, Raymond Ward, APA Val Newman, Daryl Siggers, Frankel R., I don't know who that is, Steve Wilson, WDIV News, WXYZ, APA Marie Miller, Hewitt Media Inc., and EJ White is joining now. So there you go.
Okay, so can the members of the press hear right now? Are they muted, or can they hear now?
Everybody can hear, and they can unmute themselves. I'll unmute everybody right now.
Okay.
And then, if necessary, I'll mute people.
All right. Give me the high sign when you want me to get started.
I'm good on my end.
Maria?
Yes, you should begin, Kim. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for this important press conference. We are coming to you to give you some more details on the CIU that we formed almost exactly 2.5 years ago. And so we're very proud of the work we've done. We're going to be discussing this with myself, with Valerie Newman, the director of the unit, and we also have several of our exonerees that are going to have a few words as well. So I'm hoping to take a few questions at the end of this presentation, but I want to make sure and welcome you again. Thank you to my staff who set this up, Maria Miller and Patrick Muscat, and we're ready to get started. About 10 or so years ago, and actually more than that, back in 2006, I met the DA in Dallas County, Craig Watkins, who had formed one of the nation's first, if not the first, conviction integrity units, and I was intrigued. I immediately came away from that conference where I met him, knowing that I wanted to have a unit like that here in Wayne County, because I believed, and I still believe, that no prosecutor's office, DA's office, state's attorney's office across this country should be afraid to examine their old convictions. We want to make sure all of these convictions have integrity, and when it doesn't, we need to examine them and not be afraid to plow in and investigate them as well. And today we're going to share some of the fruits of that labor. We're also going to talk about how the unit works, what the criteria is, and like I said, we're going to hear from some of our exonerees, and we're also going to talk about our thoughts for the future for this unit, the fact that it needs to be expanded, and how much money it's going to take to do that. So when I first approached the Wayne County Commission about this, it took several meetings, but I was finally able to convince them and the CEO, Warren Evans, that we needed a unit like this in Wayne County. And the funds were finally given to us back in 2016. And so we were able to, 2017, I'm sorry. And so to the tune of about $750,000. So I immediately began my search for a woman to lead this unit. It would turn out to be a woman, a person to lead this unit. And after interviewing many people and talking to many people, and specifically remembering the interview that I had with Valerie Newman, who at that time was working for the State Appellate Defender Office, whose life's work really was this kind of work. And I knew that she would bring to this unit intelligence, compassion, an extremely hard work ethic, and really the knowledge and the expertise to set this unit up and to get going. So right now I want to introduce the woman that I hired to run this unit and have her explain what the unit's about, why it's necessary, and what the criteria is. Val?
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that warm introduction, and welcome to everyone on the call. The Conviction Integrity Unit in this office, first of all, I want to say it's the only county-run Conviction Integrity Unit in the state of Michigan. So the Attorney General has one that covers other counties, but Prosecutor Worthy is the only one that has established this unit in her office. So I'm very grateful for that. The work is critically important because we all know that the criminal legal system is, we're all human beings and people make mistakes. And not only do people, make mistakes, but the science can change and other things can change over the years and over the course of history that can result in a conviction we thought maybe at one time being legitimate, and then you find out that the science is no longer valid or something else has changed that undermines the integrity of the conviction. So there's some pretty basic criteria for us to review a case. The first is obviously the case has to be out of Wayne County. We only have jurisdiction over cases that have been prosecuted in the county. Number two, you have to maintain your innocence. So this is not a unit that's looking at large legal issues. You were convicted of murder, but you're only guilty of manslaughter. It has to be, I was not involved in the criminal offense at all. And third, really important criteria is there has to be some new evidence. So we can't simply look at what a court did and review a court opinion and say, well, we disagree with how the court decided this. We're going to recommend to the prosecutor, that she do something about this case. There has to be something that has not been presented before the fact finder that undermines the integrity of the conviction. So those we have received over 1,300 requests for investigation as of today. The numbers I give you today will probably not be good by tomorrow because things change in this unit day by day. We receive mail every day that we review, and but as of today, we've received over 1,300 requests for investigation. We do a preliminary review of those requests for investigation to see if they meet the criteria that we just lined out. If they meet that criteria, then we create a folder and we start collecting more data. If they don't meet that criteria, we write a letter, and I do try to get back to people right away because I don't like people to have to wait to say, we can't help you. But we'll let them know specifically why we can't help them. This is not a Wayne County case. Therefore, we've sent it to the AG's Conviction Integrity Unit, and we do that. We don't make someone then write to the Attorney General. We will then scan the letter and send it to the Attorney General's office, so they have it if it's from a different county. If it's from out of state, we'll do our best to help them. Or if it in other ways doesn't meet our criteria, we will explain specifically why we're not able to assist that individual. Currently, I know on the call there's a number of people that we've been able to assist. I'm really proud of the fact that to date, with only a little over 2.5 years in existence, we have granted relief to 20 individuals. That's a lot. That's a lot of people because these cases take an enormous amount of work. We start from the very beginning with the police reports, gather all the documents, and we reinvestigate the entire case if it's a case that we're working on. So it's a very time-consuming exploration, but it's important, I think, for people to really understand this is a search for the truth. And we want to get to the truth. That's our goal. And so it's important that we get it right. And it's important that we're thorough. And it's important that we investigate all aspects of a case. And with that, I think I'll turn it back over to the prosecutor.
Valerie, thank you so much. And as I indicated before, this was Valerie's life work. She was renowned across this country, and I knew that when I hired her, she was the right person to do this. Again, we've been in existence, as she said, for 2.5 years, and as she also indicated, we are the first in the state of Michigan to continue this work, and still the only county-based system that there is. I want to just to expound on some of the things that she said. We have received, as she said, 1,300 requests. That does not mean that 1,300 people have been wrongfully convicted in Wayne County, because as she said, we invite these requests. Some of these requests become from out of state. Some of these requests come from outside of Wayne County. And also, we have looked at, I believe it's 700 cases and examined those to make sure they either don't follow the criteria or the convictions are solid. So we still have a number of cases to look at. As she said, the review is exhaustive. They take a long time, because anytime you're talking about overturning a judge or a jury verdict, we must be completely thorough. This is not something you can snap your fingers and make these decisions. These are tough, tough decisions. And even after the backbreaking work of the people in this unit, it still takes my final review as well. This unit is composed of 5 attorneys. 4 of them are full-time, 1 of them is part-time. We also have 1 full-time investigator, 1 half-time investigator that hopefully will be full-time very soon. And we also have a wonderful volunteer as well that works on these cases. So again, despite that, because of the number of requests that we have, because we want to be thorough and do this right, we also want to make sure that we have the funding. And back at the end of January, early February, we went back to the Wayne County Commission to ask for an additional about $850,000 to double the size of the unit, have more lawyers, more investigators, which is key. And also we wanted a victim advocate to work with these families on both sides as well. We also want to make sure that we look at and we make sure all of our exonerees and people we've granted relief to are very successful. We have many of them on the call today that will explain what they've been doing and tell a little bit about their case, but they have formed nonprofits, written books, working hard to work with other young men. I'll let them tell the story, but we also want to make sure that all of our exonerees have the services that they need after they're exonerated. We don't want to set them up for failure. We want to make sure that they don't return in any way to the criminal justice system. So we want to assist them with free college tuition. And I'm having ongoing conversations with our community colleges and our 4-year colleges to have that free tuition for those who wish to continue their education. We want to have other wraparound services, transportation, housing, helping with jobs, and helping with connectivity. And so we want to be able to do that as well as again, wraparound services so they will continue to be successful. Many of them don't need our services. They are dynamic individuals that are helping others that are exonerated as well. So we are proud of the work of this unit. We want to make sure that we continue it. We have plans for the future. We have plans for reforms for our exonerees. And we also want to make sure that we continue to do this work. Valerie, any final thoughts before we meet some of the exonerees?
I think we should turn it over to the stars of the show.
All right, so in no particular order, let's get started. Valerie, why don't you direct this? We're gonna give them each about 2 minutes to talk about themselves, and then we'll have some closing remarks and then take some questions.
Very good. All right. Well, I'm just going to go in order of my screen. So Ramon, you want to start us off?
You might have to unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself, Ramon. You know what? If you, there you go. You're good. Oh, no, there you go. Don't press anymore.
Everybody, I was on board. I was wrongfully.
You're gonna, Ramon, try and talk closer to the microphone. It's really hard to hear you.
You hear me now?
Yeah, speak loudly.
Okay. My name is Ramon Ward. I was exonerated in February. If it wasn't for the military unit, none of this would be possible. I wouldn't be here today. I'm grateful beyond words. Since then, I started, since I was exonerated, I started my Justice Denied. It's an LLC right now. I'm the founder. I have a co-founder. We are in the process of making it a 501(c)(3) by August. Also, the purpose of this slide is to assist those who have been wrongfully convicted, denied access to justice, whether it be through trial process or appeal. We plan to offer legal service such as visitation, notary service, private investigative service, transportation service, family members to prison, and also can connect with family members. As far as funding is concerned, I'm gonna put my own funding up for it. It may be a process, but I feel good about it, and I'm looking forward to help others that was in a tight situation as well as me. So it's my baby, it's new, and I'm passionate about it. I can't wait to help others and help them get performance.
All right. All right. Still having a hard time hearing you. Are you done?
Oh no, I got a few. Also plan to develop community resources center to assist those with choosing careers and paths, job applications, and resuming, building, drafting. I'm also exploring private investigating. Trying to start my own private investigating service. financial planning, help those with financial planning and having possible investment ventures, helping those who get on their feet and helping, how to process computers. It was hard for me to get out there to work a computer, so I know it's hard for those who did decades in prison to work a computer. So I think that's important for those getting out of prison. Most important, I'm humbled, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Kym L, Valerie Newman, for the dedication and hard work they did in my case.
All right, thank you, Ramon. Mr. Siggers, Daryl? You're muted, Daryl. There you go.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. First and foremost, would like to thank Prosecutor Worthy and Val Newman for the great work that they're doing and for establishing the CIU. And to restate what Mr. Ramon said, without them, I wouldn't be here. They restored my life. And so what can you say to someone who has given you your life back? I thank them 1,000 times over, and 1,000 times more wouldn't be enough. CIU is doing great work. In 2017, it was created. In 2018, my case was one of the first cases submitted to CIU, and it took a lot of work. I had experts of my own, and they went and got experts of their own, independent experts, and did a thorough job. I truly appreciate, the thoroughness. Went and talked to the witnesses. They investigated every aspect of this case. And so I am truly grateful, again, for the great work that Val Newman and Ms. Worthy is doing. I was released in 2018 after 34 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I've since started a business called Access Plus. I've written a book. I've been to every major university in the state of Michigan, giving speeches, working with young people. I have several interns that work with my company right now. And things I just, some of the guys who call me from prison ask me, how am I doing? And I tell them, if I was doing any better, I would be living in a fairy tale, because that's how well I'm doing. And again, in spite of COVID-19, I'm doing great. Valerie Newman and I speak on a regular basis. One of the things that I admire about her is she stays in contact with the exonerees, make sure we are doing okay and anything that we need at the direction of Prosecutor Worthy. And this needs to be repeated. Out of all the 82 counties in the state of Michigan, Prosecutor Worthy is the only one who established a conviction integrity unit. And there are conviction integrity units all across the United States. Some of them have not released anyone. And so I applaud your efforts, Prosecutor Worthy. I thank you so much. And just let me indicate this here before I go. A lot of times when I've been up and down the appellate ladder, I've been to the United States Supreme Court, I filed several habeas corpuses, numerous motions in court, all of them were denied. I've had the Innocence Project get involved, and I'm still denied. And when Kym Worthy and Valerie Newman got involved with this case, they did the necessary research, they did the necessary work, and again, words cannot begin to express my level of appreciation and gratitude for the work that they did in restoring my life. And so again, thank you. A lot of times courts are concerned with procedures and court rules, and the Conviction Integrity Unit is concerned with the truth. And so that gives them a lot of latitude where they can go and just look at the evidence and do what is necessary to get guys out, because I had a natural life sentence, a mandatory life sentence. So for all intent and purposes, I was on death row. I just didn't have a date set for it. And they restored my life. And so again, Prosecutor Worthy, Valerie Newman, thank you both for the great work that you're doing. And this is why I support the work and the re-election of Prosecutor Worthy, and I will do everything in my power to make sure she is re-elected, because she is innovative, she's smart, she's courageous, she's tough, she's committed to fairness, integrity, and justice. And so again, Thank you, Prosecutor World, and thank you, Valerie Newman.
All right, well, thank you, Daryl. Kevin, Mr. Harrington, you want to go next? There you go. Yep.
Good morning. Well, I have on this journey, I've been home maybe like 85 days now. I was vindicated and exonerated of all charges on April 21st. I walked out of Macomb Correctional Facility. The CIU been life-changing for me. The University of Michigan worked on my case for 11 long years. I know them guys very well, and they've been working hard, and we was been denied until the CIU stepped in and took a real look and a real deep look and did the hard, heavy lifting that was necessary in a case such as mine. Like Seegerzil was saying, I was on death row. When you commit a crime of murder or first-degree murder in the state of Michigan, it's mandatory sentence of natural life with no possibility of parole. I was 20 years old when this case was thrust upon me. I like to call it kidnapping. Kidnapping is taking someone where they don't want to go and where they shouldn't be. So with that being said, I was locked for 17 years, 6 months, 2 days, 5 minutes. It just been life changing. I'm still on cloud 9. I give all the credit to the CIU. Even though the University of Michigan Innocence Clinic had my case, it was an uphill battle. I was the only person in the state of Michigan to go through 4 consecutive trials. That's unheard of. And it was, battling with the same prosecution office. So for them to take the hard look and do a bald face is something miraculous. I take my hat off to Kym Worthy. I take my hat off to Valerie Newman. I talk to her weekly, a couple times a week since I've been home, even with helping me get my driver license and small things that outside the scope of the prosecution office. They have my full support. I've been able to establish myself a consulting firm, Justice Group Consulting Firm. I have one client so far by the name of Alfonso Clark that I was able to argue a panel discussion of town hall meeting last Sunday, actually, where USA Today colleagues and what have you was on the panel as well. So to reach back and try to right some of these wrongs that took place in all our lives that's on this discussion right here, it does something to you. It's the only people that will really understand these type of things is somebody that went through this journey to even coming to this new world, so to speak, using credit cards or having a bank account or driving. Some of these things are new to all of us. It might be a very small thing to people that always been a part of the community, but for us, it's something new to have a free choice. Like last night, I got my license. I just felt like going to take a ride at 12 midnight because I could, because it's my right. And I never had the opportunity because I remember when those doors were closed behind me, I'll say, man, when I get out of here, I'm going to live free and I'm going to live my life to the fullest. And so for these 85 days that I've been free, I live my life to the fullest. Every day I'm up at 6:30 and I'm trying to figure out more ways that I can live my life to the fullest. And how can I help someone else? And Valerie Newman, she's on speed dial. I have never texted her or called her without getting a call back, period. And with Kym Worthy at the helm of that, hiring her, this was the perfect person for the job, period, hands down. I don't see anyone else that would be as transparent that she has been. She's been in talks with the state troopers. They've been investigating the officers that did this malicious prosecution, hid evidence. Even this year of January, before I came home, the CIU found evidence in a 17-year-old long case. How did that happen? They found it out and they told us about it. In other parts of my case, they found things out and they hid it. So, you guys know exactly what I'm saying when I say that they're weeding out the corruption and they're trying to do the right thing. And I stand behind them 110%. Appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. And Aaron Salter. You gotta unmute yourself, man. There you go.
All right. How everybody doing? My name is Aaron Salter. I did 15 years for a crime that I did not commit. I was released on my 36th birthday on August 15th of 2018. Thanks to the Conviction Integrity Unit. I don't have a long story with far as the Conviction Integrity Unit because they just got on my case and it really worked. In 3 months, I was home for my 36th birthday. So I'm just so grateful for that unit and everything they did because when I was in prison, you know, I actually was praying, you know, that the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court, or somebody would just, you know, grant me evidentiary hearing so I can get some of the facts that I needed on record. Because when you fighting a wrongful conviction, it's not what's on paper, it's what's not on paper. You know, and a lot of times what's not on paper will not get you an evidentiary hearing, nor would it get you back in court. So I'm just extremely thankful that they considered on taking my case as quickly as possible when they took it. You know, extremely honored that my lawyer, you know, this was her first case, like her first major case. And she just thought, let me reach out to the Conviction Integrity Unit and see what's going to happen because of the Court of Appeals was just unfair. Like everything in the appeal system was unfair. So how I look at things is like this seems like the only remedy for me for real justice. Like the Court of Appeals, they bind by statutory limits, all type of red tape, you know, that an innocent person might die in prison because they don't have that type of stuff. So I just, you know, give y'all a big shout out, Prosecutor Kym Worthy, Val Newman, the whole CIU team, you know, Detective Little, everybody for everything that y'all done because these are 20 guys that most likely would have died in prison. You know, if it was been left up to the hands of the Michigan justice system, the appeal system, you know, everything just wronged us. So it's no other remedy for getting guys out of prison like y'all do, you know, and I just thank y'all and I'm glad y'all came up with the Conviction Integrity Unit because I was just praying real hard, you know, for a miracle and one came, you know, so I'm bonded by that. On helping people that's doing the right thing, people that's making things actually happen and they not stealing funding, saying they doing things they not, like you actually saving lives and getting guys back out here to their families, you know. And you saving their family lives. Like I come home and I see how my family is, like my mother's health, like everything that's going on, I could just realize like what if I wasn't here, you know, to be here and do some things that I am here to do. You know, I could continue to be adding on to the problem, having them send me money and do all of these things, but I'm able to help. And that's truly a blessing. And you know, I just thank everybody for helping me out so I can have a voice for the people that really don't have a voice or have money to have representation. You know, that's fair, you know. And that's a lot of times what happened to poor people. They don't have the right representation. They're ignorant to the law, which is no excuse at all. And a lot of guys like us do just get, you know, missed through the cracks. And I'm just glad that we got a remedy for it. And I thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And certainly last, but certainly not least, Mr. Phillips, you want to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
We can, Richard. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, my name, if you don't know it by now, is Richard Phillips. And I am the longest serving exoneree in the history of the United States. I don't say that proudly, but it is a fact. And it has allowed me to actually be able to use that format to touch a lot of lives in this world, all over the world. And if it had not been for the Conviction Integrity Unit, and specifically Val Newman, whom I love dearly, who works for Kym Worthy, and Kym Worthy was the one that introduced the Conviction Integrity Unit to Michigan. And for me, that was a life-saving experience. Because like Kym and I, like Val and I once talked about, she said that, Richard, possibly you probably would have been given another trial at some point, but who knows how long that would have been. It may have been at some point 2 or 3 years from now, and I probably could have died because I'm a senior citizen. So I had to spend almost nearly 50 years in prison for something that I didn't do. And so it has given me the opportunity to get out here and be able to live a little bit of life. And that's one of the reasons why, in the event that some type of cap ever has to be put on prison lifers, I think I would support that. I don't know how much time would be, because there are people in there that would just like a second chance. Guys like me. I had done all of those years, and I sat back and I said, at least they would just give me a second chance at some point. Well, it was 40 years, 40, because I was going to the point where I was headed for the graveyard. But I got saved. And I was so grateful to have that opportunity to get out here and be able to live a little bit of life, reconnect with my family. I've actually have been able to do a lot of other things for a lot of other people. I've got an online art gallery that sells art all over the world, that sells art to many people that in law offices and doctors' offices all over the country. I've spoken to psychologists and criminal defense attorneys at conventions and seminars and churches, and I'm still trying to contribute and do as much as I can to make the world a better place for all of us. And for me, I think that's what Kym Worthy and Val Newman are doing. They're trying to make things better. A lot of people complain about a lot of things that people have done in the past, but everybody makes mistakes, including myself. And so there's also an opportunity for us to correct those mistakes and become better. Even in the office of the prosecutor's office, it's going to get better, because I feel that with Kym Worthy in office, someone that's experienced, someone that knows all the ins and outs of the office, would be a better fit for somebody that steps into the office and don't even know what they're doing. So in my opinion, she has my support. I would vote for her today and tomorrow, because the people that are in my life that means the most to me, they care for her, they respect her, and they support her. And that's Gabby Silver and Val Newman. And those two people right there mean a lot to me. So if they're behind her, I'm behind her.
All right. Am I on? Yes. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. That is all of the people who have received relief from the work of the Conviction Integrity Unit who are on the call today.
And I want to thank all of them for appearing. We are grateful to the fruits of the labor of the Conviction Integrity Unit. Let me say again, four full-time lawyers, 1 part-time lawyer, for a total of 5 lawyers, a full-time investigator, a part-time investigator, and we also have, of course, clerical support. And we have our wonderful volunteer, John Henry Davis. I want to just reiterate at the end, we have a fact sheet that I know we're going to provide to you with the work through the years that we've done over the last 2.5 years. I would be remiss if I did not say that we work very closely with the Cooley Law School. We work closely with, of course, the University of Michigan, University of Michigan Innocence Project, as well as some other innocence projects as well, the Federal Defender's Office, SATO, and again, members of my office who want to see this succeed. Again, this is hard work, it's backbreaking work, but it's work that absolutely must be done. It goes without saying that the overwhelming majority of our convictions are solid, but we are not afraid to look at any conviction that we may have thought was solid at the time and reinvestigate if there is a credible claim of innocence. So again, we've gotten 13,000 requests. That doesn't mean 13,000 cases of wrongful convictions, but it does mean time, energy, passion, compassion, that to go through these cases to make sure that no one else falls through the cracks if we have anything to do with it. Again, we are very interested in reform, and we are it's critically necessary that this unit be expanded, and we hope that we can get that done one day soon as well. I also want to thank Daryl Siggers especially, who went with us to the Wayne County Commission, and they brought tears to the eyes of some of our funders to know the work that's been done by Valerie Newman in the unit, as well as the work that we can do if we have more funding. I want to thank all of you for attending. I especially want to thank our exonerees. I want to publicly thank Valerie Newman again for the work that she's doing and everyone that is in that unit, and also the members of my office for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office who also give their support. Again, this is hard, but we deal with it every day. We thought it was important that you hear from some of our exonerees. I know some of you in the press have talked to some of them before, but I thought it was important that we hear from them as well. So at this time, if we have time, we can take a few questions, but I thank you for attending. I thank you for your interest, and any support that you can give the unit is helpful as well. Thank you.
Hey, Kim, this is Orlando News, and to ask the college tuition and the wraparound services, is that new? Is that a new development?
That is something that I asked Valerie to look into because I was critically concerned that we have, again, those wraparound services and any support that we can give for our exonerees after they leave prison. And like as Kevin was saying, help with driver's licenses, help with simple things that, you know, the internet wasn't even around when many of them were incarcerated, and simple things that we think will be simple for us, but they need help cutting through the red tape sometimes. And so we have many organizations like SATO, for example, who have services set up, or private attorneys like Gabi Silver, who does a lot of this work, who has services and people that she works with, but not everybody does. And so I asked Valerie to look into us being a part of that solution as well. And so we are well on our way. We got kind of diverted because of COVID. But again, I've had personal conversations with college presidents about this issue. And I look forward to continuing those conversations and continuing with these wraparound services with the help of Val.
So,
Ms. Worthy, these are great success stories, and congratulations to each and every one of these exonerees and the hard work that I know Val and your office has done. But as she pointed out, your efforts to correct these wrongful convictions is limited to cases where new evidence undermines the conviction. And that leaves many who are turned down for review because there was insufficient evidence or even maybe prosecutorial misconduct alleged. In the case of James Shepard, for instance, when he was turned down by this unit, he took his case to court where he was summarily exonerated, his conviction immediately overturned, because the evidence indicated his innocence more than his guilt. And it raised some questions about the conduct of your prosecutor. So my question is this: generally, what is being done to correct injustices like what happened to Mr. Shepard, where there was insufficient evidence to begin with, perhaps? And specifically, in the Shepard case, where the court pointed a finger at your prosecutor and raised some serious questions, what have you been doing to take action against that prosecutor and to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Well, I'm not familiar with the case. I'll let Val handle. I don't know, Val, are you familiar with this case?
I am not.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with that case. Perhaps I can look into your concerns, but I'm just not really prepared to answer that question at this time because I'm not familiar with the individual case.
Okay, well then perhaps you could just
Steve,
tell me what you're doing in cases where there is no evidence, no new evidence, but the evidence is overwhelming that there was insufficient evidence, not enough evidence to begin with, because Val made it clear that if there's no new evidence, those cases are getting turned down. And as I say, Mr. Shepard was turned down, even though the appeals court there was never sufficient evidence to review the prosecution.
Prosecutor Worthy, I can answer that if that's all right.
Okay. By the way,
Okay, go ahead.
Steve, there's a reason why every unit in the country requires new evidence. Because you can't create a system where you can just, one person can look at a case and say, we don't agree with this court decision, or, the court found there was sufficient evidence. We don't think there is sufficient evidence. So there's certain issues that can be and have to be and should be brought before the courts, whether it's the trial court or the appellate courts, to be adjudicated in the court system. And then there's certain cases where, when there's new evidence that wasn't presented to the court. Think of what Kevin mentioned about him being tried 4 times. I might look at that trial and say, I wouldn't have tried that case 4 times, but that's not my decision to make. It was tried 4 times by someone who presumably vetted that decision. And our decision in Kevin's case didn't rely on the fact that we looked at the 4th trial or we looked at the 3rd trial or whatever we looked at and we didn't think it was enough. It was predicated on finding new evidence. And so I will tell you that innocence cases have a definite trajectory. All right. When you start digging in, every single path leads to the same place. And so when you have an innocence case, you can, there is often new evidence that will support the claim. And if we were to find, let's say, misconduct, if we were going to look at a case, and I think we're very liberal in not rejecting cases, right? So I don't require somebody to come to me and say, this is my new evidence, because I understand that people who are innocent often know nothing about what happened, and they don't have any new evidence that they can present to me. So as long as if you're maintaining your innocence, and I look at it, and there's a possibility we could maybe find new evidence, it stays in the unit, and we take a closer look at it. Now, I think that in part contributes to why we have so many open cases, right? But I think it's much better to be open-minded and liberal in the way we classify cases to give people the fairest shot than to close things off. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but the courts do their thing and we do our thing.
Well, the point of my question was not so much that you should be second guessing whether or not the court or a jury had sufficient evidence, but in these cases where serious questions arise about how the prosecution was conducted, and in this Shepard case, which I'm sure you'll review, it's a matter of public record now, there were such serious questions about the ethics of the prosecution that, setting aside for a moment whether or not Mr. Shepard's ultimate freedom was dependent upon an appeals court or something you could do, Valerie, by looking for new evidence or whatever, the issue still remains that here's a case where, like some of the exonerees this morning have said, they were sent to prison when people lied or people acted inappropriately or they got essentially railroaded. And even though you may not be able to help in the conviction unit with getting them the kind of justice they deserve, I want to know from the prosecutor what is being done in these cases in which such alarming evidence of prosecutorial misconduct is raised, and in this case confirmed by an appellate judge. What is being done to correct that? Because whether or not you get the man freed, I would think you would want to stop that kind of activity within your office.
You're muted, Kym. You're muted, Kym.
Let me just answer this the best way that I can. For us to know about these cases, we are certainly not going to publicize what is done as a result of any kind of, as you say, prosecutorial misconduct that must occur. So I am not familiar with the case. I cannot talk about this case specifically. And if I am familiar with the case, then I could probably answer your question, but I cannot. But generally, as a general rule, we do have internal methods when it comes to issues such as yours. That's the best way I can answer that question.
Well, and I would add to that, when the Conviction Integrity Unit investigates and we find wrongdoing on any actor, police, prosecutor, judge, defense attorney, anybody, we also are reporting and taking appropriate action.
All right, we need to answer some questions from other journalists if there are any.
I just want to just get clear. The college tuition, this is new.
Yes, this is a new idea that we had. It kind of emanated from a conversation that I had with an attorney friend of mine who has services available after a person is exonerated. And her name's been mentioned many times, Gabi Solar. And my thought was that we as a prosecutor's office should be a part of that as well for some attorneys or organizations that may not have those services available. But we need to go further than that. I was interested in education and transportation and housing. That was something I was interested in. And having a conversation with some of my colleagues across the country who have the same questions. So we talked and we decided that we need to take a further look at that. And we've contacted several entities. I don't want to name them right now, so I'm not trying to be evasive because we don't have anything firm. We are working on this now. We've been working on this for several months, probably about 6 to 7 months at this point. And we have talked to a number of people in service industries in different nonprofit centers, colleges and universities, other social service agencies, with the thought that we want to put together a program for any exoneree that may need it services when they are exonerated. Help with, like I said before, help with driver's license and other things to make it much simpler for them to readjust back in society. So it's a work in progress. It's something that we're working on, but it's not finalized quite yet. We're close, but it's not quite finalized. And so when it is finalized, we will certainly make that announcement to everyone.
Okay.
So yes, this is new. Yes, this is new. This is new.
Free college tuition and wraparound services.
One of the things I would like to see is free college tuitions, and I have had a conversation with 2 college presidents who are in agreement with that. But again, we had to put together a comprehensive program for them to take back to the university.
Okay.
Hi, Kim Craig here at Channel 7. What's generally the reasons behind these wrongful convictions? Is it police misconduct, evidence tampering, issues with witnesses, or what?
I'll let Val finish up, but a lot of some of it's the science that's new, like the Daryl Siggers case, and the experts we found out that were not credible through some other means. Improper police investigation that was done, we found out about later. New witnesses that have come forward that we either did not know about, or for some reason they did not testify at the trial. Vi, would you like to add to that list?
Yeah, and well, ineffective assistance to counsel and false confessions and jailhouse informants are also 3 common problems in wrongful convictions, and bad eyewitness identification. Bad eyewitness misidentifications are the #1 reason. I don't know what our stats are, but they have generally been mirroring the national statistics, which are about 73% of all wrongful convictions involve a misidentification.
Thank you.
And I should also say some of our victims, they truly believe that they have identified the right person. We were having this conversation the other day. So those are the general reasons, Ms. Craig.
Hi, Mr. Clark. George Clark has joined us.
Okay, a few words from him, and then I think we'll close it out if there are no more questions.
George,
ahead,
did you want to say a few words? I see you. Oh no, it's not. He's not connected.
All right, so we can take one more question? Do we have anything in the chat, Pat? All right, I want to thank all of you for coming.
Kim, we do have one question in the chat from John Hewitt. Can you clarify where the financing request with the county stands? Is there a date for review?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. We went to the commission, as I said, late January, early February, and we made a presentation. I cannot tell you at this point exactly where that request stands. Because of COVID has knocked everything out of the norm. The county is unfortunately projecting a $150 million deficit. So we're going to make that request and in our budget request this year. However, because of COVID and everything that's happened, I'm not optimistic that it's going to happen this year, but we're going to fight and hopefully we can get some funding to increase this unit. It's one of the priorities.
How much more are you asking for these?
About $850,000.
And what's your general budget now?
For the unit?
Uh-huh.
It's from 700, about the same, about $800,000, about the same.
And this will allow you to hire more attorneys, investigators.
Right, we want to hire more investigators and lawyers this time around. And so we are asking for obviously additional investigators. We're asking for our part-time investigator to be made full-time. We're obviously asking for more lawyers, but we're also asking for, like I said before, a victim advocate that can work with the families that we deal with as well.
Thank you.
And question, this is Kim again. Picking up on what you just said, Ms. Worthy, what is it like for the victims' families when they find out that the wrong person has been incarcerated for a crime against their loved one?
Well, I can can say this: we've had some terrible feelings of responsibility, and they're not responsible. We've had most of our families just want to make sure that the right person is responsible for their loved one. For a lot of them, unfortunately, it brings everything back up, which is a unintended consequence of this work. And that's why we really want to have an additional resource to a professional that can work with these families as we work through these issues.
Understanding that the CIU is new, but what are the chances that the right individuals that are responsible for these crimes will eventually get charged and convicted if it hasn't already happened in any of the cases?
Well, we certainly don't have a requirement that an additional person be named, but in quite a few of our cases, I think 3 or 4 of them, we have a very strong feeling that they are responsible, but either, I think one, Valerie can correct me, but we have someone that's deceased, and we have a number of them that are in prison serving very, very long sentences already. And it doesn't make sense resource-wise to have a new trial with that particular person.
Right, just looking at the folks that are on the call, in Ramon Ward's case, the perpetrator's deceased. In Cheryl Sigger's case, we were not able to solve the crime. For Kevin Harrington and George Clark, we believe we solved the crime, and the believed perpetrator is deceased. In Aaron Salter's case, we solved the crime. We believe, we solved the crime. The perpetrator is in prison serving a very long laundry list of very assaultive crimes, and will be there for a very long time. So like Prosecutor Worthy said, it doesn't make sense to put resources into trying him for this case. No, you're muted, Kym.
As many Zoom calls I've been doing since March, I should know better. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. This has been valuable time spent. I want to again thank all of our exonerees who have agreed to participate in this call. I want to thank each and every journalist for their questions, and we will continue to do our work and continue to strive for more resources to even expand the work that we're doing. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.
You guys stay blessed and be safe.
Take care,
all right,
everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.